In Lafayette, not all homes are created equal, and some can turn into money pits faster than you think. In this video, I'm exposing 6 types of properties I tell every client to avoid, from flood-prone homes with sky-high insurance bills to unpermitted additions that slash your home's value to foundation problems that can cost more than a new car to fix. We'll also cover overpriced new builds in bad spots, historic homes that may be hiding expensive repairs, and high-turnover neighborhoods that drain resale value. So let's start with the Lafayette's specific deal breaker, one that can add hundreds to your mortgage payment before you even move in. That is flood-prone homes number 1. So first on my list are properties to avoid are homes in flood-prone areas, which is arguably the single biggest Lafayette specific risk. I've seen flood insurance premiums range from $800 to over $3,000 per year, depending on the location and, of course, the claim history. That's potentially adding $250 a month to your housing costs. And here's what most out-of-town buyers don't realize. Every neighborhood outside of the official high-risk zones can flood here because of heavy rains or even just drainage issues. So just because you're in a flood zone does not mean you could flood, and also the opposite. Just because you're outside of a flood zone doesn't mean you're not going to ever flood. Last August, I had clients whose home wasn't in a designated flood zone, and they still got water in their garage from a particularly heavy thunderstorm. The previous owners never disclosed past water issues, and my clients discovered it in the hard way. Before making an offer on any Lafayette property, pull the FEMA flood maps, check the seller's flood declaration page if you have one, and actually visit the property during heavy rain. Water doesn't lie, and neither do those insurance premiums. Now, while flooding can be a visible threat, our next property pitfall remains often hidden until you're well into the buying process, or worse, even after you've already closed. Now, the second type of property to avoid in Lafayette is homes with unpermitted additions. This issue is commonly in older neighborhoods, maybe like Freetown, Puerto Rico, or other places like Broadmoor, Bendale Gardens, where homeowners have added sunrooms, they've enclosed carports, or they've converted garages without proper permits. Now, here's why this matters. When you go to finance the home, the appraiser can't count that space in the total square footage if it's not finished in the same manner, if it's not AC just like the rest of the property. I recently had a buyer who had fallen in love with a home with 2,200 square feet, and only to discover that there was a portion of it that was unpermitted. It was not finished like the rest of the home, so it didn't count in the full square footage. The appraisal came back just under $20,000 under contract price because they could only count 1,800 square feet. Now, some lenders even require some of these permits to be had before closing, which can delay or completely kill your deal. Now, before making an offer, search Lafayette Consolidated Government Permit Database, or you can ask your title company about the permit history. And during showings, you can look for mismatched flooring. You can look for sudden ceiling height changes or odd room configurations. These are really the classic tall tale signs of additions, and they may not be fully legal. Now, another issue that can sink your investment faster than unpermitted work is a problem that's literally lies beneath the surface. So number 3, let's talk about properties with foundation problems, which are unfortunately common in Lafayette due to our expansive clay soil with big oak trees, water oak trees that have large roots. These soils literally expand when wet and contract when dry, which causes slabs to crack and shift over time, and even some settling. But you can look for warning signs like cracks of the windows and doors, uneven doors, or doors that stick when you're trying to open and close them. Just pay attention to the brick veneer separation or between the gaps in walls and trim. These are truly red flags that shouldn't be ignored. The cost to fix foundation issues can be staggering. Minor repairs can run anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000, but some major piering I've even heard of can easily get up into the $20,000 range or more. But what's worse is that even after repairs, you'll still need to disclose the foundation history even when you eventually sell, which can and might even scare off some future buyers. I tell all my clients, if we actually do see any sort of signs of structural problems or any signs of settling, it's always best to just bring in a foundation inspector or foundation expert, and there they can look to see if there is any suspicious foundation issues. A general inspector might note some concerns, but a structural structural foundation inspector will actually give you a more detailed assessment of what you're really facing. They take measurements, and they never accept just cosmetic patching without proper documentation of really what is underlying the repair. While foundation issues can wreck your budget with repair costs, our next property pitfall can silently erode your investment over time through diminished resale value. So let's talk about number 4, which is overpriced new construction in poor locations. Lafayette is experiencing a building boom, but not all the developments are created equal. I've seen builders charging premium prices for homes with beautiful finishes, but in locations with serious drawbacks. For example, there are some subdivisions far out on the edges of the parish where the commute can be really brutal, especially during rush hour. Others are being built near industrial zones, rail lines, or high traffic corridors where noise and safety issues will impact your quality of life and future resale value. One of my clients almost purchased in a development where a builder was marketing future retail and restaurants coming soon. 3 years later, the land is still empty and the residents are driving 15 minutes per basic amenities. Meanwhile, the homes are now selling for less than the original purchase prices. But before buying new construction, compare the price per square foot to established neighborhoods. You need to research school ratings, even if you don't have kids, because this significantly impacts the resale. Check upcoming infrastructure projects and flood zones. And remember, these shiny granite countertops, they might look great today, but location is what will determine your home's value 5 years from now. Now, while new construction can have hidden downsides, some of Lafayette's most charming historic homes come with their own set of very expensive challenges. Let's talk about number 5, which is the historic homes without updates. So 5th on the list is historic homes without updates, particularly in neighborhoods like the St. Streets, you have Bendel Gardens, or parts of downtown Lafayette. Now, these homes are incredible and they have charm and they have character, but they can quickly drain your bank account if you don't have the key systems, which need to be modernized. Many of the properties still have knob and tube or aluminum wiring or bad breaker boxes, which creates insurance headaches and potential even fire hazards. Galvanized steel plumbing is another common issue, including rust, water pressure could be really low, or inevitable leaks that you'll get, or even bust sewer lines. And those old beautiful windows, well, they're charming until you get your first summer energy bill. If the home has a historic designation, you may face specific restrictions on what you can actually change, especially on the exterior facades of the property. One of my clients actually bought a beautiful 1940s home in the St. Streets and discovered that they couldn't modify the front windows, even though they were single pane and incredibly inefficient. Before purchasing a historic home, get actual contractor bids for unnecessary updates, not just estimates. These costs can easily hit 20 to 30% of your purchase price. Ask specifically about the age and the condition of the electrical system, the HVAC, the roof, the plumbing. Those are the big 4 that will cost you the most. And historic homes can really be a wonderful investment, but only if you go in with your eyes wide open about all of the renovation costs it could possibly have. Our final category of properties, you might seem perfectly fine on the surface, but the neighborhood dynamics can tell you a very different story. So let's talk about number 6, which is homes in high turnover neighborhoods. This final top property I warn clients about are homes in high turnover neighborhoods. So when you see a lot of for sale signs clustered in one area, that's usually a warning sign of maybe some deeper issues going on. This high turnover can be caused by maybe rising crime rates, HOA disputes, nearby industrial expansion, or school rezoning. I've noticed certain pockets on the north side or the northeast sides of Lafayette that show this particular pattern. Now, what happens is that the constant turn of the neighborhood erodes the community's stability, and eventually property values continue to decline. Lenders and appraisers pick up on this too, and they'll note declining area desirability in their reports, which directly impacts your home's value. So before making an offer, drive through a neighborhood at different times of the day, morning, afternoon, and evening, and talk to potential neighbors if you can, and specifically ask people why are they moving. Check Lafayette Parish crime reports and school boundary maps to see if there's actually any recent changes. And a neighborhood with happy and long-term residents is almost always a better investment than one where people are constantly leaving. I've helped hundreds of buyers navigate these pitfalls and find great Lafayette homes that appreciate in value while avoiding these costly mistakes. If you're planning to buy in our area, reach out before you start your search. My contact information is in the description below. I can be reached at any time at that contact information. Now that you know what types of homes to avoid in Lafayette, it's time to find out what living here is really like. In my next video, The Brutal Reality of Living in Lafayette, I revealed the unfiltered pros and cons that could make or break your decision. Now, click and watch below, and I'll see you there.